Hi everyone, my name is Peter and I'll be talking about systems, which is something I've been passionate about for quite some time. Now, a lot of us get into property for the passive income, but in reality, it becomes quite admin heavy. When building your portfolio, doing HMOs, or raising finances, we really need to be treating it like a business. Otherwise, we'll quickly get overwhelmed with emails, receipts, finances, marketing, investors. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to be showing you what is possible. And one thing to remember is that when creating or implementing these systems, just keep it simple to start with and then improve it over time. So a little bit about me. Today, I'm working on HMOs, commercial to resis. I have fantastic business partners and have Danny as our coach. But it hasn't always been this way. In 2004, I came over to London from Australia and I worked at Barts Hospital as a clinical pharmacist. And in the NHS, one thing I learned over a very long period of time was that the more I systemized things, the worse it was for me. It's ridiculous in that basically the more I'd make things more efficient and helpful and improve the patient's experience, the more senior members of staff would take staff away from us because of the efficiencies. So this was actually really frustrating. And what actually pushed it over the edge was that whilst I was on annual leave, senior staff took away my second in command and put her on another site, which is something I've been fighting for months to keep her on our site. So I handed in my notice and found myself in an IT consulting role. This gave me the space to just reset myself. And I then decided to learn about property. I was curious to know what it was about. So I reached out to my good friend in 2014, who is now my business partner. And she became my unofficial mentor because I just kept on asking so many questions. I'll be looking at the spreadsheets, looking at the property deals, and just literally challenging all the things that I'd been figuring out. But thankfully with her, I was able to build a small buy-to-let portfolio in Scotland, which allowed me to replace to pay for my rental income in London, which was my first goal. Then in 2015, I came across a Facebook post and I reached out, and within a few weeks, I became an angel investor. And soon after that, I found a residential property that the Propertunities team presented to me and I grabbed. At this point in time, I was curious as to how people were building a portfolio without any capital left. So I went on to some property training, and that's where I learned the theory on how to do all of this. Soon after the training, I reached out to the Propertunities team, who I came to like and trust, and asked if I could work with them in return for teaching me the property and also allowing me to practice the things I've learned. I would help systemize their business and do the due diligence for them. In 2017, I set myself a target of going to 4 networking events per month, which allowed me to build my network and gave me so much more experience as well. Within the 6 months of learning how to raise money and deal with my social media, I learned how I actually raised £300,000 in angel and investor finance. About the Propertunities team, in this year, we've been operational for 5 years. Our directors' combined experience is 50 years in total, and we've raised over £3 million in angel finance. Ben is our CEO, and he's a bit of a business and property celebrity. You'll see him on some TEDx show videos, and he's been on the BBC as well. He's an excellent networker, and he's written a book about this and called Social Magnetism. Keely is our managing director. She mainly focuses on our resi conversions. She's excellent with negotiations, strategy, and also helps us with risk mitigation a lot as well. Her skills have really allowed us to grow over the years and to allow us to get into a really good place to where it is today. Miles focuses on the commercial projects. He's also our IT and marketing guru. If you have a look at our YouTube videos, you'll see a 1-minute series that he's done, and also edited all the videos on there for us. I focus on the systems and the finances. So I deal with the companies, accounts, mortgages, even training with the virtual assistants as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we do resi to commercial, resi conversions, commercial conversions as well. Now, one thing to note is that although these are our more defined roles that we've come to enjoy and love over the years, you'll see us doing all sorts of things. You'll see us doing due diligence, being on site, but this is just how we've come to evolve our business, and it allows us to give more focus as well. Here are the topics I'm going to cover in the presentation. By the end, you're going to learn how to reduce time looking for documents and files and emails. You're going to avoid racking your brain trying to figure out if you've saved something or what's happened, and sleep more soundly at night because you're going to know more about your finances, about the past and the future about them. Now, a lot of you won't be as passionate as I am about systems, but have a think about these questions. Do you want to run your business, or does your business run you? Now, if you're serious about just benefiting from this presentation, please do take some notes. Starting with emails, this view that I've got here is the priority inbox. And what you'll notice is I've got my inbox and then these other categories that I've created: start, action, hold, and newsletter. And one thing you'll notice is the number of emails I have is 12. And this is actually quite normal. And it's not because I don't have any emails and I don't get them. I receive all the emails that all my partners get as well. What I've done is I've introduced some strategies and rules to allow me to triage the emails. So what I'm going to show you is our tips to help you significantly reduce the emails in your inbox, and also to help you save time finding the emails when you need to locate them as well. So what do? The first thing I'd like to introduce is status labels. I've created some status labels that I find very useful for me. And an example of this is pay invoices. So how I use this is whenever I receive an email, I'll read it. If there's nothing for me to do, I'll archive it straight away. Otherwise, if it's an invoice, I'll then flag it as invoice and then archive it. Yes, it won't be in my inbox, but every Friday when I run through the payments, I then click on the pay invoices label, and then I go through the invoices and pay for it. What you'll notice is in my inbox, I've got 2 paid invoices. And in this example, I had to pay for these 2 invoices before the Friday, which is why it's there. A second example of using this is action. So if I receive an email that isn't urgent, and for example, like an accountant asking you to do something, but it isn't due for 3 months, I'll flag it as action, and it'll automatically appear on this right-hand side called action required. So I'll still have visibility of it, but I'm just not going to do it until I will make the time to do that. A couple other ways that can help you organize your emails is using the snooze button. So I use the snooze quite frequently when I have an email that I don't want to reply to or deal with today, but I know when my diary is more free to deal with it then. So I'll snooze it until Friday and then I'll pick it up then. So basically it then hides your email and then shows it to you as if it's a new email on that day. Very handy to keep your email clean. The other thing that I find fairly useful is the stars. By default, Gmail has a yellow star, but you can actually implement more. I've implemented 4 of them, and it just allows me to give it a different status. So if it's useful information, or once I've paid off something, I'll tick it. The other thing I'd like to share is the use of labels, and a lot of labels that I use. And these are the ones that I find very useful for our property business. I have specific labels for each property. I also have one called insurance and utilities separately. And the reason for that is each insurance policy often covers multiple properties, and it's the same with utilities. This allows me that if any time I want to look at any previous insurance policies to make a claim, I just click on the insurance tab. Within the property label, I create sub-labels. I've got works, lettings, lending, and these are some other ones for our commercial conversion that we did earlier this year. Having these categories will save you a ton of time trying to locate documents, and we're always needing to locate it, whether it's finding the documents for the solicitor, looking at for the mortgage broker, or talking to the other solicitors about the lease or the VAT. Now, because I label every single email for a property or a utility or an insurance, this is obviously adding to the workload that you're needing to do. But one way of reducing it significantly is learning how to use auto filtering. I set up so many auto filterings, and it's quite easy to use in that you can set it up as and when you need to. So an example is I might get newsletters into my inbox that I still want and don't want to unsubscribe to. When I have this email received, I then tick the email and then click on more, filter messages like this. And then this will then allow me to follow the prompts to then tell me what I'd like it to do. So I then filter it all into my newsletter label. Finally, this is the more advanced way of doing things. So if you're really looking to future-proof your business, we've created email aliases. So rather than create lots of separate emails, we've created aliases that all go into one email. So from an external user, they can email finance or accounts plus the property, which you don't have to define in the back end. But what happens is this all comes into our inbox, which then allows me to filter it. So I can then filter all emails from finance will automatically be flagged or labeled with the finance tab. So I'll quickly see what it is, and I can quickly archive it as well. I find this particularly useful for registering for TV licenses for our HMOs. I then flag specific properties that allow us to auto filter into that property. So I've covered 5 different strategies for working with emails. If you found one of those really useful, please write it down. Write down one of them that you would implement. Having the right files and folder structure is really important, especially if you're looking to back it up automatically and ensure that you organize it in the right way so you can find things quickly. We use Google Drive file stream, and why we love it so much is it doesn't take up any space on your computer. It'll look like a drive and you can see all the files on your computer, but it won't take up the space. It automatically syncs to the cloud for anything you save in those folders. And it's really good for collaborative working. So I'm frequently sharing a spreadsheet or sharing a folder with our mortgage broker to populate information for them. When it comes to folder structure, keeping it organized from the start helps a lot. So I'm just going to share with you how I've organized the structure in our business. At the high level parent folder, we've got important information live, so all our projects that we are cash flowing or doing. We have sourcing, so properties that we're doing due diligence for. And then other things like business strategy, marketing. Then we have lots of subfolders under there as well. Now within each property folder, we have a list of subfolders. And what you'll notice is it's numbered sequentially. Now, the numbering is actually the sequence of events that occurs as and when we work on that property. So when we get a new offer accepted, we'll do the due diligence. Then we start creating the investor pack to share it with our clients. So you can see we create the folders as and when we need to, and it's in an order that we understand, so we can quickly find these files and folders when we need to. Finally, when you're naming, when you're using the date format in your folders or file, always use the year, month, and day backwards, because it then puts it in chronological order. So this is an example from our solicitors folder, where on the 2nd, we received some documents. On the 3rd, we had a completion statement. On the 4th, we had more completion documents and a new completion statement. It allows us to quickly grab the latest documents in the folder without being confused with all the different documents out there. Spreadsheets. Now, I know this is a love-hate relationship for some people, but I do highly recommend someone in the business is good at spreadsheets. Basically, it's so versatile in that once you create a template, all you need to do is plug in numbers and it gives you the answers. It allows you to give insights about something very quickly, but you do need to make an effort to just learn about it a bit. Now, 3 ways we use it frequently is creating checklists. We create, like if you're doing a mortgage application and you've got Paragon asking 1,001 questions, we have all these questions listed and we work through it systematically and then share it with our mortgage broker. We have our due diligence for our different properties, and we also track our finances in various different ways as well. And this screenshot, I'll be going into more detail on the next slide. So if you're new to spreadsheets and you're looking to learn, these are the things I think you should start with. Learn Google Spreadsheets to begin. It's just more versatile. You can export to Excel if you need to. And there's a few other enhancements that, that you can use a lot easier than Excel. Learn simple calculations. Just understand how you use the equals formula, plus, minus, sum everything. Also learn how to use conditional formatting. And for example, whenever we have a minus on this spreadsheet, it'll automatically turn red. Finally, just enabling tick boxes is very useful as well, especially for the checklists. This is what the tick boxes looks like, and it's much easier to do on Google Spreadsheets. This view here is actually one of the most important spreadsheets we have in our business. It's our finance timeline forecast. It allows us to really see our cash position at any time. So with the spreadsheet, we can quickly see where we are. But if we ever need any historical details, we go into our cloud accounting software, and I'll touch on that next. So the spreadsheet that we've created, and it's taken years to develop, we list all our angels on the left-hand side. We list all our properties on the left-hand side. And then as and when money comes in or leaves our bank account, or we anticipate it to be spent, we would then document it on that row. What this does is it creates a net cash position, which then allows us to see where our pressure points are. So in this example that I've created, we'll be running out of money on the 28th, or the week beginning the 28th of December. Because we only track the high ticket items, we also have a bank balance adjustment. So every week or two, we'll log onto our internet banking and we'll make an adjustment to make sure this cash position is accurate, to give us a better reflection of what's going on with our business. Obviously with this, it's good to have a minimum balance. So when it drops below a minimum balance for us, it goes orange. It allows us to really just forecast and plan ahead to know when the angel investors' loans are coming up, etc. Now, when it comes to accounting, you can work with your accountant and your bookkeeper for this. So I'm just going to run through some high-level things I think you need to know as a business owner, as a property investor. You can outsource these to the bookkeeper or a virtual assistant, but once you get this right from the start, it'll make things a lot easier. The first thing to do is if you've got properties in your own name and you're building a portfolio, definitely have a separate bank account for your property transactions. So when you're buying a property, having expenses or having rental income, have it all within one account and don't mix any personal transactions in this account. This will make your tax return at the end of the year so much simpler. Now, with limited companies, or if you have a large personal buy-to-let portfolio, I do recommend having a cloud accounting software. We use Xero and I love that, but I know there are some other great ones that your accountants can recommend as well. Now, with all the accounting software, you'll be able to pull in the bank transactions. You'll be able to reconcile and upload receipts so you can refer to them at any time you need. But you can look at lots of videos online to learn how to do this. And also your bookkeeper may actually do all of this for you. What I really want to go through is just the setup phase of it all. So just from a business owner, it's just understanding the power of the reporting from these cloud accounting softwares. And if you set it up right, you'll be able to do this. If you don't do this, you won't be able to have the granular reports and you might be quite frustrated down the line. So what do you need to learn? Talk to your bookkeeper and understand how to set up the tracking categories. We set up a tracking category per property. We also have an activity, and this is optional, and it's because I like to delve down further and break it down by the loans, the refinance, when a property project phase versus a cash flowing phase. So I break that down and you don't have to do that. But I highly recommend putting your property tracking category. The second thing to be aware of is the reporting side. By default, it has very good reports for a general business, but I've customized the report so that it's more property specific. So I've created a monthly operating expenses section. And for our HMOs, you can see we've got cleaning, council tax, gas, heating, electricity, etc. And you can only have these granular details if you do two things. First of all, you need to set up the chart of accounts correctly, and you need to work with your bookkeeper on this. And if you don't, you will not be able to get the granular details as you can see here. Then once you've done that, down the line, and this isn't as urgent, you can then create your custom reports. So the most urgent things to work out is your tracking categories and your chart of accounts. We use virtual assistants in our business, and there are lots out there. You can get specialized ones who just focus on a specific niche like Instagram or websites or YouTube. Or you can have general admin ones. So we have general admin ones and they can cost anywhere between £3 and £8 per hour, and they can work anywhere from all over the world. We have ours from the Philippines, and we have them help us with our social media. They do about 80 to 90% of all the bookkeeping activities for us. They download all the bills from the different utility websites. They even do property searches on Rightmove and other things for us as well. We've taught them how to create a business manual. So as we're teaching them, we ask them to capture all of this and create a manual for us. So this allows us to then, if we ever need to move virtual assistants, we've got something there in writing for them to refer to. Basically, anything that's repeatable is very easy to train a virtual assistant. So how do you work with a virtual assistant? First of all, I tend to do it, I recommend to do it yourself initially, just to get the hang of the sorts of the questions that they may ask as they're doing it. Then record yourself doing the activity, record your screen and talk at the screen to explain the process. And here's a few softwares that I recommend. Finally, when you're asking them to do the work, please track it using a task management software, it's just much easier to find out the progress of things, especially when you've got lots of things at the same time. I'll touch on this further on the next slide. But this example here is from Trello. And in this, you'll see I've got 4 columns. The first one is in progress for the virtual assistants. There's some instructions here for them to always follow for every single item that I create. What I do is I draft everything and then they finish it off by putting hashtags, etc. They then give it to me in this column for me to approve. Once I do the final edit and approve, I then schedule it for a specific date and time. On that day, they'll then log on to all my accounts and then post it out for me. So that's why you often see that when I'm actually in a meeting with people, they'll comment to say, hey, when did you post that post? And it's because I've trained the virtual assistants to do that for me. They then archive it for me, and so I can use it at a later date if needed. So I mentioned managing tasks, and Trello, that I use that currently for social media. I think it's excellent because for simple things like social media, because it has unlimited images, unlimited tasks, but it only has one view. It's very good to use on both your phone and your laptop. But when you're looking to use a sort of more important task and do multiple projects, the software I recommend is ClickUp. Now, over the years, I've used Asana, Podio, Airtable, and I've just come to really like ClickUp, and it's replaced all, and it's been a clear winner for me to replace all those other ones for the things we do in our property business. So why I like it is that we can manage multiple projects very clearly. We can delegate tasks. We have very good due date notifications and priorities. And for the free software, it's very good in that you can create unlimited tasks. It has multiple views. But if you start uploading lots of documents or pictures, you may hit the upload limits and certain features as well. So after a couple of months, we decided to upgrade. Now, if you're looking to use ClickUp, I'm just going to go through some information for you just to help you get started, because I had to do quite a bit of research to understand how to structure ClickUp to be used in our business. So when you first load it, they'll talk about a space. And I have decided to categorize the space as the business, as Propertunities. Then we've created folders, which I see as groups. I've created a refurb projects group, or a live group, or a business group. Then within the folders, I've decided to create lists for each property or each business area, such as Oxford Street, marketing, finance. Then within the list, that's where you get to create the task. And these are things that you can you can put due dates. And this is where we do the high level tasks like HMO license or the investing guide. And then within the tasks, you can create subtasks, application for the HMO license. You then send in certificates, and then you receive the license. And that's an example just to help you understand and help you get started. Now, this is a summary of all the apps, or many of the apps that we use in our business. And I've also just explained whether we use the free or the paid plan. So ClickUp, I mentioned, we upgraded to pay. Google G Suite basic plan, but do look at the business plan just to understand the difference. We use it for all sorts: drive storage, spreadsheets, websites. Dropbox is excellent for scanning of receipts. HelloSign, we use it for signing of contracts with angel investors. Xero and HubDoc, you get a subscription with Xero automatically. We use it for all our accounting and invoicing. Trello, currently I only use for social media. You can just use ClickUp, but I've already set up the process with this and it works for me, so I'm not changing it. For managing passwords, especially if you're using a virtual assistant, I recommend LastPass because you can share passwords without needing to share the passwords with them. And then finally, for our website hosting and mailing lists, we use WordPress, GoDaddy, and MailChimp. Now, Miles, as I mentioned earlier, is also the IT and website guru for our business. So as a prosperity coach, if he is your coach, he'll be able to help you through with all of these applications and tools as well. Other ways to systemize includes summarizing your learnings on social media, creating a PNG file to sign PDFs, or using Microsoft OneNote for your notes and minutes. Now, if your team is large, do consider using an internal team chat like Teams or Slack. And for video conferencing, Teams, Meet, and Zoom are very good. And within Teams, you can create a room. So how we use this is every Friday when we have our team meeting, we just enter that room and we're already there waiting for each other. The final thing I'd like to tell you about of how I systemize is my online business card. You guys would have seen me list peternego.co.uk everywhere. It's basically my one-stop shop for everything. It's got my social media links, so please connect with me and summarize one thing you've learned today and tag me in. I've got our business website. I've got the starter's guide to property investing for any investors that might be interested in getting started in property. I've got more information about me being a coach, and I've even got another frequently asked question, which is my wife's little Ivy League social and emotional learning for kids. The last thing on this page that is very useful that I have is called Calendly. So whenever I'm talking to people and we've agreed to have a meeting, a follow-up meeting, I then ask them to go into my Calendly and then just book themselves into a time that suits them. And that just takes away about 3 to 5 messages of when you're free, when you're available to book yourselves in. If you have any questions from this presentation, please email me and I'll aim to respond to your answers over the next few weeks, either on my social media or in the Facebook group. Now, before I finish, I just want to take a moment for you to imagine. Just imagine having thousands of unread emails, or imagine having tenants and guests contacting you for emergencies, or being frustrated because you just can't find that document you need for the solicitor, or being so anxious when it comes to the end of your tax return and you're trying to find receipts and pulling together spreadsheets for your accountant. Now imagine being in that space, and a lot of you may actually be experiencing this now. On the other hand, just imagine your life being systemized. Imagine just going on holidays and enjoying yourself there and just emailing, replying to emails just once a week because you enjoy it and you'd like to see what's going on with your business. Which reality do you want to create? The power is yours, and just through small steps over time, the compound effect of that will allow you to create the life that you'd want. Thank you.